song or so. It's a podcast. You should have just said it was a podcast, man. It is.
Yeah, listen to a podcast.
It's live.
Well, this is the podcast. It's the movie Shoehorn podcast. We're doing a childhood favorite of mine, the Starship Troopers by Paul Verhoeven. And this was a very formative movie for me. I saw it when I was about 10 years old.
What, tits? Oh,
Yeah, tits and gore and
okay.
science fiction, action, fascism. It was all good back then. And we're picked it here tonight, and we're going to see what everybody thinks about it.
I'm doing my part.
Put your hand on that wall.
I'm doing my part.
Yeah. Would you
I'm
like
doing
to
my
know?
part.
So many
Yeah.
good quotes. I could quote this movie for 10 years, and I've been quoting it for 25 years, whatever.
I
it
mean,
is.
it's just a hit. It's just a gem because I think it's so bad yet so amazing at the same time. You know what I mean? Like it is hokey as fuck. It's perfectly done.
It's satire.
I think
Exactly.
It's
It works so
it's
well.
a crazy movie because it's a perfect satire and also perfectly good action sci-fi movie.
Yeah. The fucking visuals are pretty damn good. It's 97.
They still hold up.
Oh, you guys are reading my mind right now. This is crazy. Nick wants to say
Nick
something.
wants to say
It
something.
operates on several levels, but before I get in and have to drop off the Taco Bell, there's a guy in here. Do you guys know who Patrick Muldoon is?
Mm-hmm.
No.
He's
So
the
Patrick
guy-
Muldoon, when I met him, Patrick Muldoon was the lead in Ice Fighters, which was a knockoff bullshit movie we bought at Food Lion at Radford. And when I saw him last night, I set off a firework in my basement. Like I lost my fucking mind. Especially because of the terrible, like the same Ice Fighters are now bug aliens in this movie.
Oh, he's Xander.
Oh, that guy.
He's
Yeah, I
Xander.
got you. He's the biggest douche of all time.
Yeah.
He's perfect. He's
Yeah,
like the
he's amazing.
perfect person for this movie. And the one word I'll give, which is a hyphenated word, where you guys are saying it's terrible and it's so cheesy, it's and as we all know, it's purposely cheesy. What this movie is it's self-aware. It's self-aware of how bad it is, and it's purposefully done to be this bad. Which is, it made me so happy. Like it made me so happy to see how well this movie was
And
done.
you know why it is self-aware? Because it's the same guy who did fucking RoboCop, which is like fucking serious. It's
Total
fucking
Recall.
And he did these like Total Recall is a little bit humorous, but like RoboCop is super fucking serious. He did this way because he wanted to.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, it was. It's like it's a literally quintessential perfect 90s movie. It's perfect, man. I don't know. I don't know how you could hate it because it is what it is, and it's amazing with what it does. The football game with the silver ball.
Mm-hmm.
It's called. I looked it all up. I did a lot of research. It's called Jump
That's
Ball.
where you meet Patrick Muldoon.
Just throw me the ball, Diz.
Yeah, I mean,
on the alien planet, after they win a fight,
Clendathun,
a keg of beer, and says, "Here's the entertainment."
Woo!
Fucking violin that he starts playing.
You know what this is? This is Top Gun on Clendathun for Travis. Like they're playing weird football sport games that don't make sense, but it's just arena football, literally in this.
See you in 5 minutes. Bye-bye.
All right, Zach, when did you first see this movie?
It seems like Eric's stewing
Oh,
over there.
I'm gonna get Eric in 1 second. I'm going to him in 1 second. We're gonna get Zach here. Zach, when did you first see this movie?
Man, probably when did it come out? It came out in 97, so
Probably 97.
12 or 13. I had heard through the grapevine, about some scenes when you are that age that you want to watch. And I mean, honestly, like when I was that young, it was actually kind of a freaky movie.
It's fucking scary.
Well,
When I was 10, it was scary.
Very gory.
Yeah,
Like-
super gory.
I mean, bugs like Imagine if you saw a bug like that, you would shit your pants.
I did.
So I liked it, and then I've seen this movie so many times. It's probably the most I've seen a movie that we've reviewed.
Yep.
I love it. It's always a classic you can go back to. It is so. You said it best, Swan. It is so bad, but it's done so well intentionally. It is the perfect satire movie in my mind. It is. It just does it so well. You can't help but watch it and be like, "This is stupid as fuck," but I love it.
I was laughing so much at this today. It's so fucking funny too. Eric, what did you think? Have you seen this before?
I have. But actually, I wanted to say, like, I said, I think you guys read my mind because I had the same thoughts to me, I was like, this movie's kind of cheesy, and I had the thought hokey, like White. So I was like, I think hokey is the perfect way to describe this movie. But then I was also like, I don't know how many times I've seen this. I feel like I didn't watch it a lot, but I also, like, in my head, I haven't seen it in 10 years at least. But in my head, I had an image of, like, I think I remember, and, like, everything I thought was exactly how it was. Like, so it definitely, like, burned into my brain whenever I first watched it. But I was still blown away, even though I felt like I remember it pretty well, but, like, how good the visuals were. I was like, damn.
Crazy.
It really made me feel like, more than a lot of even movies today, like I was in this time period or, like, in this actual, Earth space situation in the future. For 97, I thought it was pulled off really well.
Yeah, for 90s visuals movies, like with a lot of CGI, there's like this in Jurassic Park.
Dude,
it's on that level.
Seriously, I thought that.
Because, like, the spaces, like the SpaceX and stuff, like, those were probably sets. Like, those looked really good. Like, they definitely put some money into it. I didn't look up the budget, but I'm gonna look at it now. I'm curious.
Well, yeah, I mean, it was the RoboCop Total Recall guy. I mean, he had,
$100 million.
This did not make money. This was a bust.
Yeah, it only made 120 off a $110 million budget. So yeah, that's like, you're not gonna spend that much to make 10 million.
Now it's made a shitload of money. It's a cult classic.
I wonder how they measure
probably
that.
now, right?
I wonder how they measure that. Dude. Yeah, box office it did 121.
You know what's crazy? I've seen this movie. I swear to God, I've at least put this movie on probably 30 times at least in my life. I don't know if I've ever finished it more than, like, I don't think I finish it all the time. So I was kind of excited to see what happens because I kind of forgot that our favorite girl bites the bullet. You know what I mean?
I didn't forget.
I forgot that kind of.
I was waiting for the whole time.
Yeah. It had been, and I got a lot of notes, so I don't want to jump ahead, but
was this on like a channel, like a TBS, where they played it a lot or something?
Had to have been, dude.
Because I feel like I watched it partially a lot too.
I think it was TBS.
So for me, it was the tits. I mean, the co-ed shower scene was what stuck to you as a kid, obviously. Yeah. Like, that blew my mind. I was just like, what am I seeing here? Is this what the future's going to be like? And if so, wow.
Honestly, again, I saw this at 10 years old. The scene that stuck with me was, and I thought it was more of a cold open. I haven't seen this in a few years. But and it basically is a cold open. Like, there's a few minutes of that, like, Federal Network shit, and then it goes to that sort of cold open on the planet where Johnny Rico gets killed.
The reporter.
That scene at 10 years old, that scared the shit out of me, but I fucking loved it. I was so hooked on that scene in that movie. That scene is totally burned.
That was cool because it was like a flash forward, and then they zip you all the way back to high school. They're fucking in high school trying to fucking stuff on some weird technology. Toward
the end, there's a quote that
like a light bright.
My favorite quote of the movie. Ace, who is Busey's kid, which is
oh yeah, baby.
Well, we'll come back to him.
Yeah,
he's like, yeah, and they're all fresh out of the school or whatever, and Johnny Rico goes, "Yeah, Ace, we're the old guys now."
Oh,
and
yeah.
At this point,
yeah, exactly. That's funny.
No, Jake Busey. Wow.
But it's true. That's kind of how it happens in war. You get promoted quick, and
exactly.
There's a lot of people dying.
That's such a good line for a satire about war movies. That is, I mean, that's perfectly done. Because you're right, like when the higher ranks get up, it's just next man up. And so a lot of the people are really young, and especially in like the World War I and World War II movies.
Yeah.
But that it's just a perfect line for this stupid ass movie.
Well, dude,
Put in like a
it was what I love. It was like visually, they were really giving it to you in terms of immediately in school. Like the guy was a one-armed teacher. They had a weird like blind like bot like chick where they were dissecting large bugs. Like
The recruiting guy had no arms or
everything
legs.
about it was very, I don't know, like they were just putting sci-fi weird shit everywhere, which I love that. I love that shit. I mean,
Do you think you're a psychic? Well, maybe
Yeah,
you are.
I wrote that down. Well, maybe you are. Like, what the fuck? I mean,
Very young Neil Patrick Harris, I'm assuming. How old was he in this?
oh my God, super young.
24.
And if you've seen, literally, Steve Cordry's character or Rob Corddry's character in Harold and Kumar 2 is solely based on his love for Neil Patrick Harris in this movie, which to me is just makes it even better because I love that. I love all Harold and
What
Kumar.
is that a real thing?
Yeah, I don't. His character is like he's obsessed with him. He like sees him and he like bows. He's like, Neil Patrick Harris. I couldn't believe your role.
He says
as,
Clendathu or something.
Yeah, your role on Clendathune as Doctor. You know, it's amazing. So yeah, it's a whole. There's a connection there for me as well. And he's on shrooms. Yeah, Neil Patrick Harris. How was this? I mean, what was he coming off here? What the fuck was he doing? Because he did Doogie Howser. Then what did he?
He was trying to get back in.
What did he do in between that?
I don't
Probably
know. Let's look.
nothing. But I mean, to me, the stealer of this movie, which I don't think I appreciated him as much as I should have in the past, but Shawshank, Mr. Shawshank, what's his name? I forget.
Oh yeah, I know what you're talking about.
From Dexter, the new Dexter season.
Never seen it.
New Dexter season?
Yeah, what, you guys have never heard of that?
No, I never saw.
Well, I know about it, but I'm not watching it.
Well, it's not bad, and it's not bad
Neither
because
am I.
the bad guy is Sergeant Zim.
Oh yeah, you love that guy. What else has he
So
been in?
good.
Oh, Shawshank. What else?
Shawshank, Dexter. This, I guess I gotta look him up. We gotta say his name here. I should know it.
Clancy
Why
Brown.
can't I turn my fucking camera
Clancy Brown?
Yes.
That's right.
Doesn't sound right, but I guess it is.
on? Can you guys see me?
No.
Nick.
Yeah,
It won't let
Clancy
me.
Brown.
got though.
All's fair in love and war.
Yeah,
That's an
Xander.
old pick.
Yeah, the big,
Xander is the
That head
biggest.
hair.
That's the most amazingly casted douchebag in the entire lifetime of film. Like he says douchey stuff. He looks like like a mixture of Matt Schmidt and Bob Phillips or something. Just the ultimate douche. I hope they don't see this.
I think
I
you're
don't
getting
think
less.
they ever will.
The odds on that are incredibly low.
Well, I mean, dude, oh my God, dude. Remember when he flips over the defender just to catch the ball, the two defenders? He does a full backflip. Give me the ball, Diz. They score every play.
Yeah.
Like,
Did anybody catch the catcher from Major League 2?
Never seen it.
Gets shot in the training
yeah,
ground
that's Dan
exercise.
Simpson. That's Daniel Stimpson.
Daniels.
I'm
That's what
sorry,
wrote
I don't-
down. I said Dan Simpson.
Now he
got
does
hurt
watch,
today.
so cool it. I know he watches.
Yeah, and I'm sure I would give a fuck.
I have to take a step back because I don't need to prove anything because I called Patrick Muldoon from
Yeah,
Ice Spiders.
that's amazing.
I had no
amazing.
file. I thought this was the only thing Patrick Muldoon ever did.
No,
He is-
Dude.
let
He
me
is
ask
the king
you,
of C movies.
Yeah.
you ordered mild and Diablo hot sauce, both ends of the spectrum. That's interesting.
That's hot.
Well,
Nick.
Amanda's a mild. I'm
Is
only.
Diablo better than fire?
What did you say?
Is
Is
Diablo,
Diablo better
fire?
than fire?
So fire is not a ghost pepper based garbage. This is only
So if you have Indian food for lunch, it's only Diablo.
That's how you
for dinner.
cleanse it. That's how you blow
Well, I
your
care more
O-ring.
about taste. I
I
don't
like
need to
the
prove
fire
anything to
sauce.
myself anymore.
No, fire's pretty good, but Diablo gets me.
I used to be a big fire guy. Wow.
Diablo. To be honest, Diablo is terrible because it takes away from the flavor of the food you're actually eating.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
I don't
It's
like
So,
it.
real-
but I like
it's-
the spice.
That
I like to
happens.
feel it.
Need to do that.
Yeah, I don't like
I
it.
should try it. But I've just been a
Okay.
fire guy for so long.
Fire guy.
Fire guy.
Diablo's off menu, bro.
No, it's not.
They melted the cake. God damn it. It's melted
to
onto the paper.
Oh, those amateurs.
The amateurs.
Those
What kind of
damn-
Taco Bell is that? There's a
It's a
Manassas
Gainesville.
Taco
It's
Bell.
a Gainesville one.
Oh God.
No, I loved his answer. Sounds good. When you ordered, sounds good. I've never heard that before.
Great. All right, got it all. Anyway, it sounds like all that's happening so far is a big jerk off fest about how good this movie was.
A murder was
Absolutely.
captured tonight.
But you know what's
Sentenced-
interesting is this was totally panned by critics because they
They're dumb.
did not
Yeah.
understand at all that it was a satire.
There, Ben.
Which is hard to believe because of how often they keep cutting to those like propaganda type commercials.
Uh-huh.
Of, like here to learn. Like it's so
It's so over the top.
It's how the
It's
movie
beating you over the head with it so often.
That's just how the movie
Hey, guys.
starts too. It's like
Yeah.
from the beginning they let you know this is gonna be kind of whatever.
I
Did
mean,
you
they're
think-
handing the bullets to the kids and laughing. I mean,
What
It's-
did you think of Sue Ellen Mishke running the ship? Did you think Sue Ellen did a good job?
Wow,
oh,
good
that
call.
is Sue
I did that
Ellen
to us.
Mishke.
I was
Yeah.
like, I was going from something. But
I was-
Flawless Wonder.
I was just thinking that too.
Oh
The
my
Brawless Wonder.
Um,
He doesn't look as busty in this.
I did. Jake Busey is the ugliest man on earth. He looks like Matt Irwin's mutant son. Half his face is teeth.
okay, that's the fourth.
He actually
Yeah,
looked like
yeah.
Gary Busey's son.
Wasn't he in the show about the weird family on
Yeah.
Fox?
Dude, wasn't he in like fucking Shasta McNasty or some shit? I don't know, dude. Remember that show, by the way?
That sounds familiar.
Yeah, that was all the rage. I mean,
But-
Zach, you want to go over your quotes? Because I mean, let's just quote up.
Yeah, so
Hold on. I think to pin up on our earlier thing, I think it must have made some money, you know, on DVD or VHS at the time or whatever, because they ended up making, I think, 3. Yeah.
Correct.
I mean,
Really?
the other 2 didn't have Casper Van Diem, and
the third. He's in
Ouch.
the third.
oh, he's in the third.
Yeah,
I think
Came
have
back.
you seen the third?
I've not seen the third.
I've seen the first. That's
I
it.
think I've actually heard that the third is not that bad.
So sure of
maybe.
it. What did you think about the laser tag scene?
Oh, so good.
I mean, come on. Let me play some laser tag like that.
Yeah, weren't we just talking about laser tag on the last
so-
podcast?
yeah. for
Anybody
sure.
on this call? Am I alone in being the only person that this is my first viewing?
Wow. No,
I was
this
going
is
to ask
my
you that
third
earlier because that's how you made it seem.
This is my first ever viewing. of
That's
this movie.
amazing.
And
Yeah,
I was,
Can
we all
Travis told me to save it because it's good podcast fodder. But I remember like this was kind of like a big deal for a younger crew. And I remember Thomas Denfeld was big into this, and I like heard about it through Robert. Like people were watching it. It had nudity when we were in
Yeah.
elementary school. It was like it
There
checked
were
all the
tits.
boxes of like gratuitous violence. It's funny. It's got tits. You have to see it. And I just never saw it. But I remember
That shocks me.
you just know about it through the years, and I just never ended up watching it. And I was so glad last night. I was about to just skip it, whatever, but I watched it last night, and I was very pleasantly surprised with my
what
choice.
did
Hold
you
on.
think
I mean, you were
about-
going to skip it. Have you done that? But that makes me feel like you've done that. You've been
Well,
pretending.
I've skipped so many movies on this thing, but always because I've seen them before.
Well,
What did you
yeah.
think of Lieutenant
not okay.
Koff from The Wire?
Well, I know it's not okay, but I'm here.
Travis did that last week, and I'm seeing a trend here. Zach, I mean, he blew us up for a webinar last week. Ben, the Outer Banks, I told him
At
to
least
have,
I show up.
I told Ben to have a good time, and he promised me he would. And today he said, we should be miserable. We don't deserve it.
What?
I'm so glad you asked that.
We
You
can do a
followed
whole
up on that,
podcast
Eric.
about that.
We should be miserable about what?
I said, how's the weather going? And because he's at the beach, I said, how you doing? How's your week going? How's the weather down there?
Ah!
It's horrible, but we deserve this.
Now I can't help but thinking Eeyore after Nick said it.
Oh.
Now
Well,
that's
apparently
all
I
can
came up with
think
that.
of.
I thought of it independently, but I told that to Eric, and he said that's what we called him at West Virginia. So it's not like it's not like a
Yeah.
novel thought.
It's
Yeah.
right there.
Hey Eric, if he was Eeyore, who were you? I'm just wondering. For me, let me just go ahead. You're that gopher beaver guy with the whistle. That for me, that's you. Remember the guy? He's kind of a very.
Eric's rabbit.
I feel like you would have a good whistle voice if you talked in the end of everything.
I have a good whistle. Yeah, I can whistle pretty well.
I know you can. I see you. So yeah, that's me. That's just who's. Yeah, that's my.
Well, now you're stealing Pedram's bit here, where you're assigning a character in an animated
Right.
series.
Everybody has to be
Well, no,
somebody.
Who is Tigger, Eric? Who's Tigger?
Yeah, you know who Eric is? He's Tigger.
Eric, who is Winnie the Pooh?
Eric. Who is
Eric,
Tigger, Eric?
who is Christopher Robin? Eric, that doesn't even make sense.
I don't know. Who is the crew? So you got Tigger, Piglet, Christopher
You
Robin.
got Roo. You got Roo.
This is great.
Is there an angry one? Because that's Zach.
No, that's Rabbit.
That's
Yeah.
Travis is the Christopher Robin. He's
Wow.
curious.
Good for
Christopher
you, man.
Robin.
I love to be
Yeah.
Christopher Robin, but unfortunately, I'm Deuce Frantic. I'm Tigger. I'm Deuce
No,
Frantic.
I probably am Tigger.
I think White's
Sorry.
I feel like Nick. Who would Nick be?
Who's Pooh? Who's
Nick's
the
Piglet.
I'm a
Nick's
dumb
like
bitch.
Nick's Piglet for sure. He's just a Piglet for me.
Oh,
and
Piglet.
Yeah, we need
that is a compliment.
Piglet's so scared and like whimpery,
Sweet, so
whiny.
sweet. So sweet.
Who's Pooh?
Yeah, who is?
I always think I argue with this with Amanda because his nursery theme, our child's nursery theme is Pooh. But I always tell her, and Carly and I have this opinion that Pooh is such a miserable character. Like, oh no, oh no, Pooh.
Oh no.
The honey. But he's actually this eternal optimist, and I don't think I'm that.
The honey.
Yeah. He's always like, and that's what friendship is for.
Dude, that show
and
is
I think the
pretty
world's
sick.
ending.
It's pretty. Yeah, I have to give you a Piglet. You're a little more.
Did anybody notice in the movie, in the beginning psychic scene, and I'm wondering if this is a mistake?
The cards?
Yeah, he says, I see Ace of Spades. And an Ace of Spades comes up.
I thought that too because it says what he said, but it's not what the left is. He's supposed to be guessing the right.
Oh,
Yeah.
I see.
I had to think about that.
But what came after that, if you watch closely, Jack 7 comes up next, which is my favorite poker hand.
James Bond. Yeah, we know it.
I keep forgetting that's a James Bond. You keep telling me that. It's my favorite poker hand. Anyway, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, it's a good one because you can catch a sneaky little 8, 9,
Come
10.
on, Travis, you know
What is
Love
that? What's going on here? What happened here?
Can you see my screen?
Yeah. See a nice lake.
So this is we got a nice little what do you call these graphs? These are like your NCAA.
No, we only see your desktop.
Oh, God damn it! What's the deal with that?
Yeah, I don't know.
It's a good graph,
That
though.
happened to.
You could talk about the trees there. The trees are kind of like a graph, like a increasing slope, right?
I don't see that at all.
Problem.
I just see your background office weird thing. Oh, shit.
I took it away now.
What the fuck? What just happened?
It's okay, but it said it was like this mental health. It's like the characters of Winnie the Pooh, and then this like spectrum. It's like on FIFA when it's like his passing's 98. But his other, like 60.
Interesting.
One of those.
Oh, that's awesome.
But it's Christopher Robin, schizophrenia, 60%. So if you're schizophrenic, you trend to be Christopher Robin.
That's Travis.
I don't know if that is Travis or not. Rabbit.
Have you guys ever heard of the movie Winnie the Pooh, The Land of Blood and Honey, or something like that.
Oh, I have heard of it.
It's like a slasher film based in the woods for Winnie the Pooh. Came out a couple years ago.
Yeah, I never saw it. You see it?
No, it looked like garbage.
Nick, did you end up liking that Santa Claus movie with fucking David Harbour?
Of course I did. I saw that in theaters.
I don't know if that you're being serious. You really
I had a great time in theaters with that.
I can't imagine. I really have a vendetta against that guy. I think he's an awful actor.
The guy from what's that? Stranger Things?
Yeah, as the show progressed, he just yelled a bunch and just like I was like, he's not good at this, I don't think.
Well, Stranger Things to me, I think like
Joyce!
The first 2 seasons of Stranger Things, I didn't watch it for him. I thought Stranger Things was okay, but it was was like, what if Dark was bad? Like, that's
yeah.
Stranger Things season 1 was pretty damn good, I think, but
it's okay. I think that it operates on a couple different levels, but it's not like
Dark is time travel. Stranger Things isn't time travel.
I love Stranger
Things.
Yeah.
But you know what I mean? It's like kids in the woods and something crazy happens and they have to navigate their lives. And
I mean, I agree. Dark is
not exactly
1,000 times better.
It was a breakthrough show when it came out, honestly.
Yeah, it's gotten progressively worse. It sucks you have to go, like, it's almost like Fast and Furious, which, was stupid, but, like, now it's just like, what the fuck?
I haven't kept up. I mean, you're foolish if you're still watching that show.
Oh, no.
I would say if you go into that Santa movie looking to draw strings to any type of string to Stranger Things, that's not the point. Like,
no, I'm not. I just simply don't. I just have lost my appreciation for that guy as an actor.
Violent Night, by the way.
Yeah.
Excuse me?
Violent Night.
Violent Night, yes.
Oh, for our viewers, so you can go check out Violent Night starring David Harbour.
Pretty funny.
Pause.
We're not here to talk about A Violent Night. We're here to talk about Starship Troopers.
Why was Denise Richards' character named Ibanez if she wasn't Spanish at all?
Why are they from Buenos Aires?
Yes.
And why doesn't she show her tits?
Why does Diz show her tits twice in 2 separate scenes? How much did she get paid? I looked it up. I couldn't find how much she got paid for this.
Who, Diz?
Not enough.
Yeah, because of the nudity.
Do you get a boost on the check if you do that?
I would think, but probably not back then, but maybe now. I think now
the problem is Denise Richards. We know that she's in that era. She's going to be showing off what's going on. Why are you casting her if she's not going to be doing that here? Especially if you already have.
Has she ever gotten nude?
Has she?
Thing.
That's half the reason I tuned in last night.
Who? She didn't. Has she got nude in movies? What movie was she nude in?
Wild Things.
Denise Richards.
The next year.
Have you ever been to Celeb Jihad?
Scene?
Yeah, I don't remember.
Celeb Jihad, Swanner?
Huh?
Celeb Jihad. Ever heard of it?
I've heard of it, of course.
You need to go and you need to research a little. We need students here. We're not studying.
Yeah, I didn't realize that she was. I didn't realize she was in that. That's a long time ago.
She's got real hootenanny.
Actually,
she's a beautiful woman.
Actually, here's something that Wyatt was talking about. I'm having a hard time finding any good trivia on this, but here's a good one. Most of the adults in authority positions in the movie are scarred in some way. Ratchak lacks an arm. The biology teacher has scars on her face and is blind. And the recruiting sergeant has lost both of his legs. Director Paul Verhoeven included them as a symbol of the belligerent history of the Federation. So that's kind of what you're saying. They have this long, bloody, violent history.
And you'll see the same thing in other movies, like very famous series movies like Marathon Man. That you'll see the same thing kind of happening with the what's the guy's name? The dentist, the Nazi dentist in Marathon Man. He's got a little bit of an affliction going on. Like there's that's almost like a trope he's laying into. Mm-hmm. Zed. I think Zed is, or Zell is his name.
Zellberger. No, I've never seen Marathon Man.
Well, that's a silly Billy.
Did you guys notice when the ships were getting blown up that they started sinking in space?
Oh, just kind of.
Yeah, dude, that was
one that kept every time they'd show it, it just kept progressively like going down and sinking. And just like
Yeah, especially if they were getting hit by something below them, they probably wouldn't be sinking. They'd be going away.
fucking space.
Well, you can't sink in space if you get hit in that direction, but yeah, they weren't.
By the way, can I mention that early on in the movie, I was instantly captivated during the classroom before they get to the action of it. They're on their planet and they're in the class. I was comparing it to AI during the time because in the beginning of AI, they're in their work setting, and that's when they're doing all their exposition. I thought the classroom was a perfect foil to ask these kind of questions that didn't have true answers, where they were talking about the nature of authority, the nature of force, the nature of citizenship. In a movie that is all satire and that's all about like clubbing you over the head with jokes and all this action, I thought they did a really good job with posing those questions and opening up that dialogue.
Well,
I had a blast with that.
Well, yeah, I mean that's interesting because that is the book.
It has to be, of course. You see where when I learned this was about a book, which you had mentioned, you see that coming through there, and I think they did an excellent job of opening those questions, and they do a better job of it, in my opinion, than what AI did. I thought this movie was infinitely better in that respect than AI.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, that is a good scene, and he does lay out that stuff. But I mean, that's what's so interesting about this whole thing, and I think that is probably why a lot of people didn't understand this was a satire, is because that scene is what the book is saying, but the book is serious about it.
Yeah,
he was a military guy. He's a conservative. He thinks that to be able to vote, you need to have fought in wars and stuff.
And so and that teacher that has the hand affliction that you see later on, he says force is the word. That's the rule of, like, if you boil it down, the force of will, that's all that it is. And democracy is the antithesis of that. That's against fascism, which says that the rule of law is whatever we make it to be together, which they discount in this, right?
Yeah.
And even in a democracy, I also always remember this. There, before World War I started, there was a guy who talked to these young Prussians going out to war, and he had a whole essay that he read aloud to them called "Politics as Vocation." And what he said in that was that the number one thing a government does, all that government truly is, if you boil it down, is that it's a monopoly on violence. And so concentrated power, all that the government truly is at the end of the day from an executive standpoint, they have a monopoly on violence. Even if you can act on violence, they'll say what's allowed and what's not allowed. You go to jail if you do this, or if you do that, or they allow you to go to war and do that. The real monopoly that government has today is that they control all violent activity. And I think that was a helpful conduit to the scene. Anyway, I'll leave it there.
Like a lot. Wow.
You're saying that even in democracy, that's the case?
Yeah, pretty much. Like, all that the government can do, like, if all that can happen if we revolt against the government, all the government will be able to act on at that point is to enact violence on our violence, because we're acting out of place in our violence towards them. And the only thing they can do is to counteract that with violence.
That's why we got the Second Amendment, because we had geniuses that made this country.
And that's exactly right. Like, in an ideal perspective, you wouldn't be able to counteract that. But if you wanted to consolidate power which Lincoln did, right? That's what the South was doing, was activating the Second Amendment. The executive power said, I don't think so. Let's see how far you can take this with your Second Amendment, with your power, and we will put violence against your violence and we'll beat you. And that's what happened in the Civil War. It was the monopolization of violence against alternative violence.
Violence or silence.
I don't understand what happened. I was looking at Denise Richards' areolas and
post them on the screen. Post them on the screen.
That's what I'm saying. I think this movie operates on several levels. I had a very good time.
I was like studying them, and then all of a sudden Nick's talking about feudalism and civil war.
They don't want to show you.
I think that's like Travis said. That's what the book is about.
Isn't it the social contract? Like,
Fireman.
we give up rights because the government.
That social contract theory, yes. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay.
I mean, it's been a
So,
while since I read the book, but I remember like
protect
like
us.
one of the main things was something about like, you know, whoever has the nuke, you know, can have freedom basically. Like, you have to have a nuke in case somebody else does. I mean, it's that same idea of, you know, at the end of the
Right.
day, force is the only thing.
Right. But I also love when he throws that knife into his hand. They can't press the button if they don't have hands.
The enemy cannot push a button if you disable his hand.
Perfect.
It's a great line.
Yeah.
Put your hand on that wall.
You love it.
And also, Ben's whole thing about the Nazis and everything, they couldn't have dressed up Neil Patrick Harris any better. I mean, he looked like a fucking SS officer, like 100% SS.
Well, no, all of them do.
But him, he had the jacket with the.
I know.
mean, he had the whole
The
thing.
hat. The whole
why is this? Why
even
is
the bird looks like a swastika, like the Federation symbol.
Well, why is this compared to like they're? It's not Jewish people. It's literally fucking arachnids trying to murder us. I don't get how that's relatable. Like,
it's kind of I don't know. It's just because Nazis are like the poster boys for fascism. So
yeah, it's just weird. It's more so like making fun of fascism in a sense, and he won't watch it because he's fucking.
Well, that's what we're saying. It is making
exactly.
fun of fascism.
More kind of like colonialism.
He won't watch it because he's a Nazi.
Yeah, it's like. Yeah, I don't get it.
Oh
God!
They've got all these.
No, I think he's gonna watch this podcast, and you're gonna watch it.
Aren't
you, Ben?
I don't want him to watch it. I don't want him to watch it.
He won't watch it.
Absolutely.
He knows better than you, dude. Until he doesn't.
Well, I mean, this is.
Until he does.
I mean, I was thinking about this is, and I'm glad Nick had a good experience because to me, this is the quintessential Shoehorn. I mean, this is the movie you have to watch if you haven't seen it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
I mean, dude.
Yeah.
It's quotable.
It's,
there's
you know what?
It's action packed. It's violent, but it's like almost hilariously violent.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
although the lashing and.
Oh, I wrote 7 million lashes. I didn't remember how many you got. It was only 10. 7 million lashes.
10 lashes.
After 5, he dropped the bite bar. He didn't even care. His life was over after that.
Just some great cameo roles from Hank.
Oh yeah.
Breaking Bad as the general guy, Sergeant Zim from Shawshank.
Carver from The Wire, black young.
That. Oh shit! Carver. I forgot
he has
that was
no
Carver.
Range. Carver has no range.
Awful.
He's the same in Baltimore as he is in outer space.
He's not good. He's not very good.
He's terrible.
Same in Baltimore as he is in Clandathy.
Llewellyn Mishke getting that role was a stretch. When she got crushed in that door, I wasn't upset.
No,
well, she was a good
I was thinking Hank was seen out of place because Hank actually was pretty good, but everybody else it seemed like, unless they were really bad actors,
like 3 Hanks.
They were constructed to be terrible. Like they were bad. It was like really good bad acting. If that's
I thought his professor was good, but he also looked like Hank. There was like 3 dudes that looked like Hank.
Oh yeah, Michael Ironside. He was good.
He reminded me of Jack Nicholson the whole time. I kept having a Nicholson vibe.
I didn't pick up on that, but now I definitely see that.
Saved his life, dude.
You know what?
He saved mine too. Mine too. Mine too.
Dude.
Saved everyone.
Mine too. Yeah, the fact that Diz, when she died, she literally was like, "At least I got to fuck you, dude."
Yeah, at least I got you.
At least I got finally. This was I wrote down. This was the typical. I could get this girl, but she's so easy to get that I have to go after the slightly hotter girl who's a bitch and sucks and rejected me, and then I finally fall back into this girl's arms, and then she dies.
Yeah,
That
I thought it was
goddamn-
So typical.
I thought it was very strange, actually, when I was watching it, how important the plot line of who should be having sex with whom in
With
the
Rico,
story
with
was.
Rico,
Like it
with Rico.
carried through the entire thing of like, are they like, if love is not the major motive of this movie, but they made it a huge symbol, you know, like
Yeah.
it was direct. It was like almost like a vehicle for the story, but it didn't matter at all. It was.
You know what my favorite? I have to say, my favorite scene was when she breaks up with him. She's like, in the video, she's like talking, and then she like pops out in front of like some planets. Like, I have to be out here, Johnny. It's like the dumbest.
Beautiful, isn't
It
it?
was so weird. Like, what the fuck? It's
No,
like,
actually
Yeah.
one of the trivias is apparently they after test screenings
that's why I have to break up with you.
they changed a bunch of scenes that
Saturn.
revolved around like the love quartet, and
Uh-huh.
especially one scene where after Xander gets his brain sucked out, she kisses Johnny Rico because the
Jesus Christ.
like at the end of the movie, because
Yeah.
the audience was like, okay, she betrayed him. Now she's fucking Xander.
I thought
then
she
he gets
died.
his brain
I
sucked
was
out.
almost
Now
sure
she's
she
back to
died.
kissing Johnny Rico.
I thought she was dead, dude. I forgot she wasn't dead. And she came back, I was like, what the fuck? It's been been a
Xander
minute.
had the part of his life getting his brain sucked out, but a brain sucker. That was a pretty crazy scene as a youngin as well.
Yeah, dude, that shit was pretty
Yeah.
wild. I mean, this is like Men in Black kind of is really scary. That guy, like it's pretty nasty, weird shit. Kind of similar.
Yeah.
Like as a kid, this is like a bit much, but you're like, I'll absorb it.
Yeah.
It'd be so interesting
Like
to
the
have
brain
that
sucker.
perspective of seeing it when you're 10 versus 35.
That's why
instead of
this
just 35.
and that's why my rating will be as a 10-year-old me. It's gonna be my rating.
I was thinking that too. It's hard for me to separate that.
Ah!
I mean,
Well,
I think
I
you
can't
already
separate
know
it,
what
but I'll give you a fair rating regardless.
Hey, you're gonna get a real fair rating from me.
All right, let's get into it then.
Okay.
Swan, leave it off.
My
What's going
rating is a 10 out of 10. This is a 10 out of 10. Because I'm 10. I'm 10. This is a 10 out of 10 at 10. It's 10, 10, 220. It's a wonderful movie. It has everything you want. As a child, I thought the future was going to be full of co-ed showers. I haven't seen one as of yet other than the one at my house, but then maybe as a younger couple, you're doing that. You know what I mean, boys? Yeah. Also, my shower's really small. I don't know. Yeah, I mean, this movie rocks. His name is Johnny Rico. I mean, come on, dude. Like,
He's from Buenos Aires.
I'm from
And he
Buenos
has a
Aires.
square jaw,
His
and he's
parents
white.
suck, and they died. So he's gonna still battle on, even though he didn't want to after this 10 lashes. It's amazing. You got to kill bugs. Nobody likes spiders. It's a perfect thing. They're just nasty, large spiders. Who wouldn't be on the side of them other than Ben? It's a 10 out of 10.
Yeah, well, what's funny is I feel like it's the author just saying, well, of course America will be everywhere by 2100. Of course we'll be, all over we'll just own the world.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, as long as we get rid of the blacks.
I wrote,
Jews.
this is our Thunder
Exactly.
Gun Express. A dude hangs dong.
All right, Zach, what are you rating it?
And also, I would say Buenos Aires, before we go on to Zach, Buenos Aires, a lot of Nazis defected over to Argentina
Yeah, that's
after World War II. Very important to note.
That's actually in the trivia.
It's actually one of my favorite, conspiracy, all those theories about Hitler.
Well, that's not a theory. They were there.
Well, I'm saying Hitler. They say Hitler could have possibly.
Yeah, why not? I mean, they could.
They were there. They're still grandchildren there.
The Lost Treasure of Z. That movie, I think, is about finding Nazis.
What?
I think it's The Lost Treasure of Z.
The Lost City of Z.
Was that what that was about? I like that movie.
Is that good?
It's all right. Not bad.
So that one's pretty cool. I don't know. But there's a movie, I forget which movie it is, but they're hunting Nazi gold. And it's in Buenos Aires. So that was was one of the points I was going to bring up. I think it was intentional that they selected that city. My big thing is why is
no, it was in the book. Huh?
I was just wondering like why nobody is Spanish in Buenos Aires and they all have white names.
Well, I think it's water. No, they don't have white names. He's Johnny Rico. Rico is Spanish. She was Ibanez. That's Spanish.
You know that white people live in Argentina, Zach.
And Argentina is pretty light white.
That's not what I meant. I meant Americanized.
I know what you mean, Zach.
There's Asian people who live in Argentina who speak Spanish.
Okay, Tom Segura.
Segura?
Yeah, Tom Segura has a joke that's that exact bit.
Segura.
Okay, what's the joke? Don't bring it up if you're not going to tell.
Well, he says he's talking about people. His name's Tom Segura, and he meets a guy, and the guy's like, "Are you Japanese?" And he goes, "Yeah." And the guy's like, "Really?" And he's like, "No, I'm not fucking Japanese." And he's like, "But your last name's Segura." He's like, "Well, yeah, if you say it like that, anything."
I'm going to say he either has to look Japanese because the Segura doesn't sound Japanese.
No, he's Spanish.
It sounds Japanese. Tempura.
That sounds enough Japanese.
No,
Segura.
it rhymes with tempura does not mean it sounds.
Yeah, it does.
Anyway,
What American name rhymes with tempura?
No, let Eric die on that hill. I don't care.
Pura.
Well, I want him to at least answer
Pura.
this part.
Pura.
He can't.
Burrow. Joe Burrow.
Ventura.
Ventura.
Oh, don't you help him out.
Leave it to the rapper to help me.
Yeah.
I mean, tempura, that might not even be Japanese. Just 'cause-
Tempura. Robin Ventura. White guy.
Pretty sure tempura.
Yeah, Gene Segura. That's who I thought you were talking about.
Yeah, that dude was a stud for a minute.
Tom Segura.
Anyways, what do you give this movie, Zach?
I give it an 8.55 out of 10. An 8.5.
Gee whiz.
So many times. I love it. I think it's, if not the best, one of the best easily satirical movies. It's got all the same things that you would see in a war movie, and they execute it perfectly. There's so many quotes and so many scenes that are direct, just fuck yous to
Love you, Johnny.
Yeah.
I think it's masterfully done. He did it on purpose, and it's just fantastic.
Well, thank you for that review.
Eric?
Appreciate that.
It's gonna be the highest rated
Eric,
movie
what
ever
do you
until
rate
someone
Yeah,
brings
sure. I'll go ahead. I'm going to give this movie a 7.9 out of 10. I really like it. It's not one of my all-time favorites, but I think it's very well done for its time. That's what impressed me the most was going back and just I thought it stood up pretty well. You know what I mean? I guess how long ago was 97?
25 years.
Yeah,
26
that's
years.
pretty crazy. Pretty close to that. So yeah, and the cast. I think my favorite part too is the cast. It's a really fun cast to look at nowadays. And just being like, because I hadn't seen it in a while either, or someone like Nick who's never seen it, it's like, man, look at all these kind of. I guess they're not like superstars, but they're people you know.
Known faces.
On faces, so B-list kind of people. So yeah, I mean, I like it. I don't think I'm as like crazy about it as some of you guys, but yeah, I think it's a solid movie for sure. That's all I got.
Why you want to? Oh wait, you already went. Why it's just me? Did you give it a rating, Nick?
I haven't yet.
All right, go ahead.
So I'm gonna come in with a cool 12.5. I felt like this is why I've tried to construct a theater in my basement for moments like this where I felt very happy. Amanda came down last night. I was trimming my toenails and watching the movie, and she said it's so loud. And I said, that's why I have this here. That's why we have this in our home, so that I can love a Starship Troopers movie here while I trim my toenails. I was. What's that?
Do you use nail clippers to trim your nails?
So I have the small fingernail clippers, and I have a larger for toes. So I have both. I have two different clippers. One for
and you
fingers
use
and
them
one for
both?
toes.
Like you go at the pinky toe with the finger one?
No, I only use the finger one for the fingers, and I use the toes for the toes. My pinky toes I haven't clipped in maybe 15 years because they don't grow anymore.
Yeah.
You gotta pull out
Anyway, besides I got off topic there with
Well, that was
toe
my. I
clippers.
asked you what you clipped.
Fine.
But this was something, as I mentioned before, it operates on a philosophical, political, joke 90s movie, gore, sex, tits, terrible acting on purpose, everything that at once. It didn't take itself seriously, even though it can be taken seriously. I had a great time with this satire. And also the fact that Ben didn't want to watch this because of the Nazi propaganda, which is so clearly the point that it's not.
Yeah.
It's exactly what Ben didn't want
think.
it to be.
Yeah.
Or vice, you know what I mean?
It
And
makes
also
no
the
sense
fact
with
that,
world.
yeah, all of it together, it all combined in this wonderful, like I had, of all the movies I've seen so far on Shoehorn, this is my favorite watch. And I've had some good watches, but I had the most fun last night. So thank you, Travis.
Yeah.
12.5.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
And if I have to be capped at 10, I'll cap it to 10. That's fine.
Pretty crazy. I think I probably would have gave it a 12.5, but it's crazy that you saw it for the first time as a 35-year-old versus like a 15-year-old. And you still had that.
Been able to appreciate.
Yeah, actually,
10 times
that is
more.
that is a crazy point. Because I also I'm gonna cap it at 10. We'll let you do the 12.5, but I'm giving it a 10 out of 10, of course. This is something. I've already said mostly what I wanted to say about this movie, but I saw it at 10 years old, and it totally blew my fucking mind. It's one of my favorite movies ever. I watch it. It's been a few years now since I've watched it, but I've seen this movie probably at least 20 times. And you guys are saying it's bad acting, and you guys don't seem to take it on that serious level much. And maybe it's because I was 10 when I saw it, but even though it's bad acting, I don't think it's that bad. Like, it still works on a serious level to me.
No, Denise Richards is just bad.
It's purposeful.
Rico's pretty good.
Yeah, I know
It's purposeful.
I know, but it's still, I don't know. Maybe I just feel a little bit different about it. But to me, I kind of understand why the critics didn't get it. Even though they didn't like it and I did, but that's why I think it's so great. Is it's 100% works on a satirical level, but at the same time, to me, 100% works as a legit sci-fi action movie.
Shit works.
Which is
insane
to me. Obviously, I liked. One thing I love about this movie is, like, okay, you tell someone your favorite movie, Jurassic Park, Raiders of the Lost Ark, Empire Strikes Back, Jaws, T2. You're like, okay, great, yeah, mine too. But if you told somebody, like, and I never really have said this probably, but I don't know, Starship Troopers is a movie that if you said that would be totally sort of original or different, and that's my love for this movie is.
Well, would it be true?
Pretty up there. Well, not my number one probably, but it's hard to pick a number one movie anyway.
Is it? Let's hear it right now. I want to hear your number one movie.
That's what I mean. I can't do it. It's one of those movies I just listed, but I don't know which one.
And I feel you. It's a mood thing. It's a day. It's a month. It's a year. It's a
honestly, if I had to pick right now, I think it might be Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Wow.
If I had to pick right now.
Who's next to pick?
Interesting. It's actually, that came up this last weekend. I was stuck in a canoe with this guy for 5 hours. Okay,
okay, let's get that backstory real quick,
please.
So I went on a river trip this last weekend. I've done it before. It's in around Front Royal area. A guy that lives in the neighborhood over that used to be my boss. I did it a while back. You just get blitz hammered. It's like a river trip, like a several-day river trip. But you run out of things to talk about while you're drinking and floating. And we started talking about movies and like nostalgia and how much it plays into it and how hard it is to decouple nostalgia from movies. Yeah. And what came up was about the new Indiana Jones coming out, and I said I'm simply not going to watch it because of the fourth one that I saw with Shia LaBeouf and the
Crystal
skulls.
Skull. Yeah.
And I said that was the worst, one of the worst things. Like, and we talked about the South Park episode where they're raping Indy.
Raping
And,
him.
you know, like they do it, and how they say it perfectly. Did you see the scene with the fridge stand? It didn't make any sense. Like it makes no sense. And he said, yeah, but if we were kids and we saw that movie, would we feel that way? Because when we were kids, we saw Raiders of the Lost Ark and we thought that was amazing. And I said, no, Raiders of the Lost Ark is a perfect, like, excellent movie, no matter how you slice it. And he said, well, if you saw that only for the first time when you were an adult, would you feel the same way? And I argued yes, but he said and we agreed there's no way to really decouple it.
Well, actually, I called into Grant and Danny one time because Grant was saying that Raiders of the Lost Ark is a bad movie. And I'm of the opinion that all movies are subjective. Anybody can think they don't like a movie. That movie's not for them. Like if you said Raiders of the Lost Ark, nah, that's not for me. But he was saying he was sort of saying that argument of you only liked it because you watched it when it was a kid.
Right.
Because of this nostalgia factor. But I'm just gonna tell you, I have read several books about story, and there's this thing like the inciting event, there's the midpoint, the climax, and if you just look at Raiders of the Lost Ark, all those scenes, the inciting event is like when he goes to the bar with Marion at the beginning. That scene is amazing. That whole scene. The midpoint, I can't even remember now. I was thinking about it, and I can't remember anyway, but I think it's actually might be the snake pit. But anyway,
probably.
And I called into the show, and I was totally nervous and didn't do a good job of explaining my point, but just like now. But I honestly, from an objective point of view, it's a good movie, so you can't really say that, I don't think.
Well, you know why?
I agree.
It's a George Lucas movie.
Directed by Steven Spielberg.
Right.
Come on, it's not really.
So, and he was all in, like we've talked. He was all in. That's how he wrote Star Wars. Was based on the hero's journey model, like you're just saying.
Yeah.
Whose pick is next?
I will tell you right now, Nick. What was the final score for Starship Troopers?
So I've run it two ways. I've run it with my 12.5, and I've run it as a cap of 10. So the first way with a 12.5 for me, that's a 9.78.
Fair to movies like Manos.
All right, for that purpose, what's the 10 out of 10?
And if you cap myself at a 10,
yes,
you still end up at a 9.28.
Wow, the highest rated movie.
Now, did we?
This is no question the highest rated movie that I've seen on a Shoehorn. And a big part of that is a shout out to Ben for being miserable at the beach. So, good job, Eeyore. You really helped us today.
Well,
will he watch it now after it scores a 9.2?
Even if it is satire, it was like a 4. Yeah,
no, I don't want him to watch it.
What's interesting is Ben's opinion is like what you talked about earlier, Travis, where this movie was like destroyed by the press, saying it was like such a Nazi fascism propaganda.
Dumb.
And then now it's like, I was looking, they're like, now it's actually a cult classic because people are like, that actually doesn't make sense. So it's almost like
I just don't know how. Watching it now, I don't know how you could ever, even when it came out, confuse it because it's so far. It's not like it came out in 1946.
But isn't that
serious movies, right?
But isn't that the whole point of the Shoehorn? Like everybody has movies where they looked at the critics and thought, well, based on what the critics are saying, I don't think I want to watch that. Or based on the trailer, I don't want to watch that. Or based on some stupid fucking thing, you don't want to watch it.
Travis, you know who we're dealing with, right?
Well, I know, and it's fine. I tried. I tried my best.
He knows better than you and all the critics and experts. He's the expert.
What's annoying is this is the point of the Shoehorn is like of your viewpoints. Like I would like. I don't
it's
never
to,
want.
it's to force yourself to watch it to come
Yeah.
up with your own opinion.
Right. Something you've been dug your heels on. Like I still haven't seen Beetlejuice. If one of you selects it, I'll watch it. But I'll never watch it.
Oh
And
wow, well,
there's
that's coming. That's
things
coming
I
up.
just don't want to watch it. It looks stupid to me. But I'll bet it's not stupid. I'll
Well,
bet
yeah,
it.
that's interesting because I
Ghostbusters as
I
well.
would
What
like
are
to
the other
watch
ones, Eric?
Beetlejuice because I haven't seen it in a
Ghostbusters?
long time.
But like
the Broadway.
I
Great
think I
date.
told you, Travis. There was this Scrooged with Bill Murray.
Mm-hmm.
It's some weird thing with '80s movies. Like when I was a kid, like people would just be talking about like, "Oh, it's just such a great movie," and then I just like, I don't know. I was like, that just looks stupid. Like there's a lot of them, and they're all '80s movies. But I watched Scrooge, and I was like, you know what? That was a fucking great movie.
Yeah.
It's not great, but I was like, I enjoyed
It's
it.
pretty good, yeah.
And I was
That's
just
okay.
like, I would just told myself my whole life that I wouldn't like it, but I did.
Yeah.
Have
So
you guys?
Kind of this podcast, in my opinion, is to watch something that you've determined isn't good for whatever reason.
Yeah, exactly.
Zach?
Have you guys seen Planes, Trains, and Automobiles?
No, I
No,
haven't.
I am not either.
Okay,
It's the greatest
Zoom in
Thanksgiving
on-
movie of all time.
collection immediately. Like that
Um,
within the next 3 movies we
See,
watch.
everyone has.
I might need to watch that again because I saw it for the first time a couple years ago and wasn't that thrilled. And I really like Steve Martin. I loved John Candy, but somehow I couldn't really get into it.
It's so quotable. It's so memorable.
John Candy is by. Oh my god.
I mean,
man.
Uncle Buck is one of my favorite
Never seen
comedies.
He's coming.
I only saw that very recently for the first time, so I'll be honest on that. But Planes, Trains, and Automobiles is canon.
Yeah,
That's like
John Candy makes this movie just.
those two together. That's a dynamic duo, man.
Yeah,
They're
it is.
fucking good.
See, everyone has preconceived notions about movies, dude. They really do. You just
Yeah.
like see something, you're like, I already know what's gonna happen, or I heard this, or and you don't know shit because you didn't fucking see it. So how do you know?
I think that's the beauty of some movies, though, Swan, is you know what to expect going in.
Right.
Like an obvious like dumb comedy movie, Tropic Thunder, perfect example. This is going to be a stupid comedy movie, and it had its
movies you can know, but some movies you don't. You think you know, and you're really just misinterpreting what they're well, like Nope. That was really Nope. Was
Yeah, that was my favorite so far. Still, because that's one I never would watch because I have a predetermined thing. I never saw any of his movies.
It didn't give a vibe of what it was.
Just jizzing up. I was like, "There's no way it's good." Like it's my contrarian nature being like, "Nah, there's no way. It looks stupid."
Made no sense.
That's number 2 on my list of shoehorns now after this movie.
Well, let's ask Nick. Nick, what you might have said this earlier, but like, what was your preconceived notion of this movie going into it? Like, why hadn't you watched it? I think you might have mentioned.
There was no reason I hadn't watched it. It's the same reason I hadn't watched Badlands, for example, before you just told me you need to watch it. It was like I never heard anything besides like for Badlands. I heard that's a good movie. Like you should see that because it's good film, good cinema. For this, I heard this is a really fun movie that you have to watch. And by the way, if you were in 6th grade again when you heard about it, it has tits in it, like no question. You need to watch it.
I'm
surprised. Those are the selling points. So they have different selling points, and there was no reason it wasn't like Ben, like I'm not gonna watch it because I might become a Nazi if I do. That wasn't the thing. It was just like there's so much shit to watch, and I've got all this stuff on my list, and I'd rather watch this.
No, it's even cooler.
But okay, so there's no reason, but like, what?
It's like a back burner. Like, yeah, I'm sure it's pretty good, but I don't really care.
You said you had a great time. Obviously, a 12.5 out of 10. Like, what did you think was going to happen as of going into?
I had no idea. So really started piquing my interest, and the real reason I turned it on last night was to say, okay, let's see what all this Nazi talk is about, because I never heard ever. Until I was on this call talking with Ben, he wouldn't watch it because of this and that. I never heard that there was any discussion around around fascism at all. I had no idea it was based on a book. I thought it was like just romp-em stomp-em shit in space, and it's like kind of a parody of I don't even know what. I thought it was
like
supposed
B
to be
movie.
more so about what?
Like sort of B movie.
Yeah, I thought it was like one of those B movie, an A movie that tries to be a B movie that's supposed to be making fun of Star Trek or something. That's always what I thought in my head. I had no idea what it was about, and I just didn't care.
Like, did you
whatever.
think it was sort of on the level of like Galaxy Quest?
Oh, I wish.
No. Because I'd seen things on like that game, Seen It, where you see little tiny clips of movies.
What?
No.
Yeah.
Like you see like a little, like I'd seen a minute clip of this movie before.
Right.
It's like in pop culture. It's a pop culture movie.
Yeah.
Like I kind of had a feel of what this would be, but I had no idea. Really, once I actually saw it.
Then it's Starship Troopers. It kind of it's fucking even sounds pretty dumb, almost in a sense. Like sounds like an off-brand version.
Perfect
of
name.
I know it's perfect.
It's so perfect. It's bad. Like the movie.
I don't know how they did this. I don't know, and everything, all the spaceships and all the in space shots were fucking great for '97, dude. The spiders were scary.
They would remake this movie today, and it would look worse.
Yeah, I don't know what they're doing.
And it would be lauded. That's the thing. It would be worse and more well received.
Well, because Johnny Rico would be a girl.
$1 billion.
It would be Julia Rico.
Also, it also has a lot to do with what you've been watching recently. And Amanda and I have been watching Superstore on Hulu.
What is that?
That's fun.
You don't need to know.
Yeah.
If you don't know, now you know.
Yeah, I know. It's not great.
You're watching it too?
No.
What?
Well, Wyatt acted like he was watching.
I think I've seen
it. We live in the bottom of that barrel. That's like where we are.
It's like if The Office wasn't good.
I love how Nick is like watching the highest of cinema.
You got it.
The capital I and the lowest of TV trash.
You have to. I live a very median suburban life, and that's where they meet, right? Yeah. You have to have the high culture with the lowest brow possible, and make sure you enjoy it with a Miller Lite. Always.
See, I agree. Like that's my thing. Is like you guys. That's why I always give you guys shit because you're always trying to watch these dark, and I'm like, I don't. My life is. I'm not saying my life's so horrible. Life is not so fun. You look at the world; it's pretty bleak. I want to be entertained in a fun way a lot of the times. You know what I mean? I don't want to see like Edward Norton running and gunning for his life and curb stomping guys or whatever he's willing to do in any given movie. I like to be taken away from the misery that is our existence. I like to be catapulted into space. I don't want to remain on Earth and get
I like to play this devil's advocate here because honestly, we're talking about parody here, right?
Right.
This is satire.
Yeah.
It is. This movie is actually very dark. If you think about it from that way, right?
Yeah.
If you flip it inside out, this is a very dark subject matter.
Right.
And at the end of the movie, who wins? The fascists win, and the continuation happens again. And they show you the next cycle of those that were inspired become the inspirers, right? And it's this vicious cycle of we're gonna have some more fascism, folks.
Hey, Nick, you a gardener? You ever turned over a rock and seen a giant spider with a bunch of babies on it? You ever then?
You mean a Jew?
You ever? No. Because Jews would never venture into my garden. They would have their own home. They would have their own things.
And they'd take your home too, wouldn't they?
Yeah. For me, it's so easy to want to just murder all these insects because I think that's why it speaks to humans. Right. Like, fuck them, shoot the shit out of them. Why are they shooting them with bullets? It clearly took 900 bullets to kill one of these things. Every gun should have been a rocket.
Well, yeah, that couldn't you say that about modern wars too?
Yeah, dumb as fuck.
Well, it's interesting that that recruiter guy who doesn't have the arms or legs, he's like more meat for the grinder, eh?
Yeah, he's like still about it.
But that's like the whole point. It's just the citizens are just meat for the grinder.
Well, my grandpa served and he was a military for the most of his life, and he still says that's the way to go, blah blah blah. And I'm just like, fuck no, would I ever volunteer, let alone be? You got drafted. I'm not fucking volunteering for that bullshit.
There was something that happened. There was a guy that was a little bit younger than us that had this whole, like, we were on the river, I was telling you, and he had this whole like macho bravado, and he had his girlfriend there, and he's like 23, 24 years old, and he got a cut. Somebody threw him suntan lotion. He got a cut on his finger, okay, like the tip of his finger, and then he was like, somebody needs to give me a Band-Aid because the river water can get in this and infect my blood. And everybody we're with is older. They're like in their 50s. Like, it's an old man trip with, like, you have different like ages that are with us. And they thought he was joking. And then when they realized he wasn't joking, one of them said, and that's why we can't have any more land wars. Because this is the infantry who's worried about river water in their paper cut. It's over. Like what you're just talking about, Wyatt, about your grandfather, that's gone. If you put me in a war scenario, I'd kill myself.
No, it'd be stupid to even fucking, like, who would want to do that? Nobody wants to fucking...
well, yeah, I mean, I'd say, I'd say that the military, they could turn out these pussies into real soldiers if it came down to it.
I agree with that too. You see the Ukraine situation. You see what circumstances make of men. So maybe you're right. Like, if
hard times make.
We could.
No, nowadays we're fucked.
I think so too. I think ultimately we are fucked. On the whole, we're fucked.
I mean, I think they could. I think
fucked with what?
The boot camp could turn you around.
No. It didn't work for Eddie.
He didn't go through it. And it wasn't a war. They let him go home. And if it was like a real war, they don't let you go home.
Yeah, I mean, they're not going to waste troops in a real war. I don't think there's going to be a real war. It's just going to be over. You won't even. I mean.
Yeah.
Well, no, that's what I mean. That's the point. Is obviously they could use other stuff, but they use soldiers because that's what's throwawayable.
All right. Whose pick is next?
Throwawayable.
So it's like a lunchable.
Unfortunately,
throwawayable.
Next, Ben? Is it Ben?
Perishable.
I
hope you guys like outer space because I guarantee that's what we're gonna get from our next
It's Wyatt
selector. God forbid we watch something about real life and the struggle of mankind.
What does that mean? That means
it's Wyatt's pick.
Baby.
Well, he's a submariner.
And I've been waiting for you.
I don't know if we want to record, but we do have to talk about the Titan. And,
maybe we should just do Titanic this week, just in remembrance of the.
No, it's not.
Yeah, somebody told me at work today they found debris, and I said, "No shit." Yeah, I'm sure they did. They're dead. It's okay.
Oh, you mean the 12,000 million pounds of pressure exploded that little tiny piece of shit craft?
Who would have known?
Yeah.
Well,
I've been saying that for days.
How could you be so stupid?
But there was thought that that it was still whole and that maybe they could get them in time.
He also told me at work, he said, you wouldn't be interested to go down and for that much money if you could plunk it down and go check out the Titanic. I said, they got cameras. I can do that from my fucking living room.
Who would do that? Why?
Space is one thing. If you could send me to space and I could float around and
experience that. I said at least go to space or something.
Dude, like, why would you pay money to do? I don't get it.
The ocean is more dangerous.
What are you even
going to
see? What are you going to see?
It's the ocean.
I mean, it is an adventure. I mean, think about it. What they did obviously didn't work out.
Oh, I already got my pick because I think
you guys didn't grow up on 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea, did you?
But I didn't read nothing like that.
These rich people got to get their rocks off somehow. Like, unfortunately,
a lot of exactly. I said they're bored rich people. Yeah.
Hey, you guys, remember? Did we go over this last time? Who has seen Super 8?
I have.
I haven't.
I saw it when it came out in theaters, and that was the only time.
I saw it a few years ago, probably.
Within the last year and a half or two.
God damn it. Well,
I've
actually,
never
I
seen
mean,
it.
technically, after Travis did this, I can do whatever the fuck I want. He just literally picked the movie that we've all been.
I needed a comeback because I had a couple
Well,
of
this
subpar picks.
This was also a Ben not being here pick.
Yeah, you gave us Time Bandits last time.
Yeah, I had to come back strong after.
You went from a 0 to a 9.28. Good job.
Yeah. Is that what Time Bandits got? A 0?
Well, that's what I'm unofficially giving it.
That
I would have to look at the videotape.
Oh, Ben. Oh, Ben.
Ben gives it a 1 without seeing
I wish I could like just behead him because it's ridiculous. You don't get to have an opinion, you fucking sheep. Oh, I saw someone say something about something, therefore I know stuff.
I think he's afraid of bugs or something. Like there's
He's
something
afraid of something. I don't get it because he likes violence, but not. I don't even like violence. It's just.
I mean, that's the first thing I thought was. There's a fear aspect. I mean, it could be the fear of the Nazis or of the bugs. I don't know what it is, but
Nazi fear.
Don't you get it?
Ben Woman sounds like a Nazi. It sounds like a Nazi name.
I might have to just pick like. I mean, I really want to just pick. I'm sure most of you have seen it. I know Nick has seen it. I already brought this up. Who has seen Inside by Bo Burnham?
Not me.
Well, then that's the pick. If you have if you haven't seen it, that's the pick.
It's a movie.
About this for the last week.
It's its own category of existence.
Okay.
It's either
it's
a
on
movie,
a program
a
for
documentary.
Free.
It's a special. It's a special. It's on
Netflix.
It's free. If you
Good.
don't like it, you're just dumb and you suck. Don't even come to the podcast. Just kidding.
I might not be here next week. If for whatever reason I'm not here, just put me down for a 10.
It's a comedy special.
It's more than that.
Okay.
If you don't have the fact where you laugh uncontrollably and cry during the course of the film, then you might be a sociopath. Like you should go get checked out.
Well, yeah.
It's an incredible feat of accomplishment in filmmaking. The subject matter.
All right, save it for next week's podcast.
I can't talk enough about it.
Zach.
We could do 15 hours.
Stand-ups.
What?
Is it like his stand-up specials?
No.
I've never seen his. This is literally one of the only things I had seen from him, to be honest.
The first time I'd ever seen him. I'd heard of him. This is the first time I ever saw him.
If you look up, like,
songs that he does during his stand-up.
Yes, these are songs. So yes.
No, but they're not really. Zach,
I don't want to know anything else.
Zach, you need to go in with a clear head. This is going in deep.
And I'll let everyone know that it looks like it's on Netflix. If you have Netflix,
Yeah,
it's a Netflix original.
There's also an hour of outtakes, which are just as good. If you
I
have,
will not watch that. I can't dedicate that much time.
That's fine. That's fine. You don't have to, but you might want to.
But maybe I will want to. That's a good point.
Just make sure you watch the brand ambassador bit because that's the truest shit you'll ever see, especially in the Gay Pride Month that we're in now.
Dude.
Enough spoiling it, or else I'm going to give it a 1.
He can't help himself.
No, there's no way to spoil it.
Brand ambassador. I already know what it's about now. It's Inside Brand Ambassador.
No, it's Inside during
so we're watching
COVID.
that movie.
I watched this during peak COVID. It's unbelievable.
I watched Columbo during peak COVID. And
I watched Columbo. I watched an episode. It was very good, by the way.
Yeah. I have also a recommendation. A Sam Mendes directed film called Away We Go with John Krasinski and Maya Rudolph. It's an underrated film. It's got
You're done. You already chose.
It's got my guy Jim Gaffigan really throwing in a performance for you.
I'll watch that instead because I've already seen this.
Jeff Daniels is in it briefly. Catherine O'Hara.
I'm fine with Inside, but that sounds good.
But yeah, so anyway, Wyatt, you even though I'm very happy with your choice because of your aversion to the misery of life, you're gonna make us all watch 4 hours of Kenneth Branagh's Hamlet, word for word of the script.
This is realistic. This is real life shit, just like Starship Troopers, guys. We're gonna pivot to some real life.
What movie did we watch last week?
All right.
Actually, we watched Fresh. It got a 7.31 with a 1 NA from Wyatt because he would not finish it. It was his content. Had Wyatt reviewed it, it probably would have got a somewhere in the 6s. Still, The Devil's Backbone at a 8.64, but Mono's in at a 10 out of 10.
I just wanted to upload it.
Year.
If you think if Wyatt had reviewed it, it would have gotten a lower rating.
It went down from a 7.31 to a 6.
It got like a 3.
Oh, because he gave it NA.
Yeah, we took him out of the score. He didn't finish the movie, so he couldn't accurately.
Dog was strangled and shot.
All right, so what are we watching?
Zach, would you finish a movie where a dog was hung from something and then shot an hour into it after the movie already was pretty questionable?
That'd be tough.
Yeah, the dog was strangled and then shot. He was hung. I was like, oh, they hung him. Oh, we gotta shoot him too.
That was tough to watch. The dog.
Yeah.
Probably didn't understand what
we
was
can't
happening.
finish Zero Dark 30 because they're abusing human beings in the middle of it in the first fucking 30 minutes.
Humans? Ew.
Humans don't matter.
Open up your mind.
Humans
Dog
make
lives
decisions.
matter.
Dogs are caring, loving creatures. They only want to love. Humans are despicable.
Man, I don't know. I seen that kennel you're running. I don't know if PETA would approve of that kennel.
Probably not.
I saw about 8 giant dogs in a 10-foot.
Hey, how dare you? None of these dogs are kenneled up unless they want to be.
All right, so what are we watching? Bo Burnham Inside?
We're watching Inside.
Yeah, I wrote down Inside. Whoa, look at that.
This dog's on a fucking couch, PETA. He's on a couch, PETA. Guy's a liar.
Breathing. I look dead. It literally didn't move.
Check his pulse.
He's asleep.
Arsenal set to sign Kai Havertz.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
All right, we're canceling the recording. Watch Inside. There you go. Bo Burnham
Zach,
and
just Irish
Netflix.
goodbye.